Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Ministry Media Masterclass. We are live from My Growth Academy, where our vision is Kingdom Standards in Educational Excellence. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very excited to have you. As we get ready for the class, we'll start promptly at 12 o'clock. I would love you to go and share with me the expectations that you have of today's masterclass in the comment section below. We appreciate your interactions, and we are very excited to be presenting this today. I am a media coach for pastors and ministries and coaches, and I help them to get the message to its intended for, building the media channels for that message to get there, and also to build communities and serve communities around that. My name is Simon Fiyun, and this is my masterclass. Welcome to it. Share with me your expectations in the comments below. In the meantime, while you get that ready, I'm just going to share the resource for today's class in the comments, and you can go and download the resource that I prepared for you. You can go and download that right now as I get ready to launch this class. Good day, how are you doing? I'm excited to have you. And today we have a jam-packed, very deep masterclass that is going to really bless you, and that I'm sure you're going to find a lot of value in. As I go around, I just want to quickly share all the resources in the streams, and we'll get started in just a minute. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember to share with us your expectations of today's class. We can expectations of today's class, so we can feedback and talk to you. Right, Suki, welcome to the course today. Only starting to know more about ministry media today. Suki, you are very welcome. Thank you for joining us. And let's go. There we go. That was the intro. Welcome to the masterclass. And today we're talking about storytelling, digital storytelling, and how that is effective. This broadcast is being streamed live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you are from that, very, very welcome. And you are welcome to share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Let's dive right in. And let me get the presentation up here. There you go. Right, follow along, and you should have the resource in the comments below. Go and download that if you like, and you can follow along. And I'm using that as a guide for the training today. Right, talking about effective digital storytelling for Christian ministries. Let's quickly introduce it by doing two things. Focusing on the definition of digital storytelling, and then the significance of that. Right. Digital storytelling in ministry is the use of various digital platforms like social media, podcasts, and videos to communicate and share narratives that convey messages of faith. We leverage technologies and digital tools to engage and inspire individuals that helps us to foster a deeper connection with people. Right. What is the significance of digital storytelling? I've got 7 points I want to share with you. First, it's to get reach and accessibility, right? It helps us reach a broader and more diverse audience. It breaks down geographical barriers. Our motto here at Ministry Media Mastery is your message to the world, It's a great opportunity for us. And I'm going to reference some of the previous classes in today's training for you to go and check out. And one of the things that I want to just talk about is a week or two ago, we did what we call a clarion call. And in that, I shared with you some of the reasons why this ministry exists and why we do what we do. And that makes it very powerful. The second thing is that we have engaging visual and audio mediums to our that we can use. It combines the power of visual, audio, and storytelling or narratives to create an immersive and compelling experience for those that are following us or those that we reach and that we have the privilege to influence. They are visually stimulating and emotionally engaging. Later in the class today, we're going to talk about the power of visuals and how using that, and also how emotions is a big part of ministry and how we get people to take action on what we're sharing. You have the opportunity to make a personal connection and be authentic. And that the tools that we use there are testimonies, stories of transformation, and real life experiences that people have. A great example for this, my favorite, is probably the 700 Club on TBN. They have segments in their programming where they regularly share stories where people have been transformed and their lives have been impacted in certain ways. You can amplify your message and expand your influence because your content is shared and spread what we call virally. It means that it literally spreads like a virus. And I'm going to give you some powerful examples in today's class. It allows you to reach a larger audience, extend your reach, and make a positive impact in the world. Number 5, you can cultivate community and engagement. Digital storytelling helps you and gives you the opportunities to engage, interact, and participate in the spiritual community, or even people that are not even in this context. You do that through comments, sharing, online discussions. Digital platforms foster a sense of belonging, support, and connection among the people that you serve. And we're going to talk throughout the class about community, the responsibility towards them, etc. Number 6, you can nurture faith formation. You do this through educational materials like today. This is a way for me to impact you as a believer and as a ministry. Creating educational materials like the download that's in the comments. Go ahead and download that and use it as a resource. Inspirational messages and also opportunities for reflection. And lastly, number 7, you have an adaptive and innovative method of outreach. You adapt and innovate your outreach efforts through exploration of new formats, creative approaches, and emerging technologies that happen. Things like AI that you can push against or you can use it to enhance your ministry. Let's quickly do an overview of various digital platforms like social media, podcasts, and videos for sharing your Christian narratives or your ministry's story. First, there's social media platforms. Let's quickly highlight them and the opportunities that they present to us. Like, for instance, Facebook, where you can use text posts, images, videos, and live streaming. Really, really powerful. I think next week we're going to do a class just called Facebook for Ministry. So we're going to hone in on the opportunities that Facebook has. Instagram is a visually driven storytelling platform. We use images, short videos, and inspiring quotes to convey messages. It has a section called IGTV, which is literally a live streaming opportunity where you can reach a very, very specific type of user. As you can hear in the background, we have helicopters going around, and that is just the beauty of live broadcasting. Twitter, you have concise messaging, but here you can share scripture verses, quotes, links to articles that you have. And then obviously also there's YouTube. All right. These are some of the powerful platforms that we use. YouTube is for sharing sermons, recordings, inspirational videos, your worship music, Bible study content, etc. Now, let's not negate and push away a platform like TikTok. A lot of controversy around that, especially for the faith community. But I always say, when I did the Clarion Call, the video, you'll remember that I did a demo where I poured water into a glass that's been tainted with coloring. And I showed you the power of, if we have more people, more believers sharing content, sharing testimonies, telling stories, encouraging people, etc. You can actually filter out all of that nonsense and noise. And imagine we have a faith community of people that share more than what the negativity and the fake news and etc. is out there. The opportunity that we have. Then podcasting platforms. I want to share with you three big opportunities, three big platforms. The first one is Apple Podcasts, who will obviously serve the Apple community. It is the largest podcast platform in the world, and it offers you a vast audience and a user-friendly interface where you can distribute sermons, Bible studies, spiritual conversations, encouragements, testimonies, etc. The second one is Spotify, which is also a very popular streaming platform. When I tell you a story, there's a presenter, let's say a celebrity called Joe Rogan. He's been building his platform on Spotify, and he sold the podcast to Spotify for an incredibly large amount. Now, Spotify is obviously about music, but it has a very big growing podcasting section or platform, right? John Maxwell uses it very well, and I also believe that some of the kingdom teachers also use it very effectively. And then if we have the Apple portion, what do we do for Android users? Well, you have the platform called Google Podcasts. And it also helps you optimize your podcast through metadata and keywords. And ministries can use this to get their content discoverable. Are you enjoying it so far? If you are, go share with me below in the comments. What is your expectation of a class today? And if you have any questions, post them as well. Other social media platforms, and to focus specific on video, I'm going to share with you two opportunities that you have. Obviously, YouTube. YouTube has such a vast, so many opportunities for you. There are the short forms videos, shorts on the platform, where you can use some of your videos and create shorts. And I'll do a masterclass on that one time, where I'm actually going to go into AI and what platforms you can use to actually create the short content. Documentaries are very powerful on YouTube. There are people like, for instance, Apologia Studios, Living Waters, specifically Ray Comfort, that goes into the street and engages with people, and they film that and they post that. This is a great opportunity for us as well. And then Vimeo, that is a great platform to share videos in a more professional and polished manner. But Vimeo has a great opportunity for us. It has the opportunity for us when we have created short stories, and which we'll go into later in this class today, where we can stream our stories, and you can actually make it a paid gateway for you to take those stories, post it up there, and people can watch it on demand. All right. Let's talk about live streaming real quick. We have the platforms called Facebook Live, obviously, where you can do live sermons or teachings like I'm doing today. You can worship services, and you can live stream your events. Similar to that is YouTube Live. Like today, we are streaming this live on YouTube as well, and we're using it as the main distribution platform for our content. It helps us to reach our audiences. It helps us deliver our content in a great way. And it has the mechanics of engagement. For instance, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you'll see on the sidebar, there is a comment section. And I want to encourage you to engage with us and also tell us exactly what we are doing. Suki asks, where does LinkedIn fit in? Suki, LinkedIn is also, like this class is being streamed on LinkedIn. If you're looking to build network and serve a network, like for instance, pastors, like for instance, for yourself, you have a children's ministry, and one of the opportunities that you have is to connect with pastors all over the world and expose them to your ministry and show them what you're doing. LinkedIn is a great way to network. The networking is easier when people have already seen some of your content. And so that's why I'm live streaming this class on LinkedIn. So people on LinkedIn can see what I'm doing and they get exposure to my content. And then the connection that we make is much warmer. All right. Then we have Pastor Jonathan Banda. I believe he has 10 pastors sitting with him there in Zambia. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right, I see there is a problem with the download. All right, I will quickly look at that and I will make sure that you guys can access that. Let me quickly go and see what is going on there. All right, something happened and I will make sure that I go and look at that. I will post the resource after this in the section. Let's carry on with the class. Right. We were at YouTube Live. Okay, let's talk about, this is a really powerful portion that I want to get across to you. And it is understanding the power of storytelling to communicate messages of faith and inspire action. All right. Storytelling has a profound and transformative power in the medium because it transcends time and culture and finding its place within the realm of faith. It's a sacred tool. It's a powerful tool that allows messages of spiritual significance to resonate with hearts and minds. The aspects of faith are brought to life. It weaves together the stories and the narrative that connects individuals to their beliefs, values, and obviously to God. The depths of theological concepts, sacred teachings, and personal experiences of encounters with the divine finds expression. Stories possesses the ability to transcend the limitations of mere words, reaching beyond the intellectual realm to touch the very core of humanity. They engage our imagination, stir our emotions, and awaken our spirits. Let's pause and just remember that Jesus used storytelling, parables, etc., to get spiritual truths across. It allows us to experience the truths they convey rather than merely intellectualizing them, fostering a profound connection between the storyteller, the listener, and then God. Storytelling is a means to inspire action. It is the power to ignite a spark of inspiration within the hearts of individuals, urging them to live out the principles and values that they hold dear. They challenge, motivate, and call believers to embark on a transformational journey that aligns their lives with the teachings of the gospel. It's a catalyst for community building and the cultivation of shared experiences with faith communities. They create a tapestry of faith that weaves individuals together, strengthening the bonds of community and fostering a sense of belonging and purpose. Stories of faith can be shared with a wider audience. It amplifies the impacts of the stories, doing it on digital platforms and allowing these stories to reach individuals searching for meaning, inspiration, and spiritual connection. It's an ancient art as a transformative tool. Transcends the limitations of time and space, inspiring individuals to embark on their own spiritual journeys and fostering a collective movement towards an enlightened and compassionate world. And later on in the class today, we're going to talk about just defining your audience and knowing exactly who you want to talk to. Let's talk about the power of storytelling. Okay. Number one, we need to understand our Christian audience. When it comes to effective storytelling, Defining our audience is crucial. Now, some of you on the class today have a very defined audience, and it is possible to even define it and make the targeting even better. If we know who we're talking to, it's easier to construct the stories so that they make an impact. What we need to do when it starts embarking on a storytelling strategy, we need to identify the specific groups of the individuals you want to engage with. So let's talk about identifying the target audience for your storytelling. You need to begin by defining the scope of your target audience. Are you focusing on a specific age group, a particular denomination, a specific discipline, and maybe a specific gift, or the broader community? You need to consider demographics like, for instance, age, gender, location, and culture. I think a week or two ago, we did a class on local ministry and also using it as a missions or evangelism tool. And this specific exercise is going to help you a lot with that. Because there we spoke about if you're going to Asia, you want to build a presence there before you get there, and creating content and doing ads in the area is a great strategy to do that. Okay, so you need to say, am I going to do general? Am I going to target general Christian audience? Am I going to target unbelievers? Am I going to do a niche group, for instance, women that are single with kids? Those kind of dynamics. Okay. We're going to analyze the unique interests, values, and needs. All right. Explore the interests and hobbies of your target market. For instance, do they have a passion for Bible study, worship music, social justice, family values? Identify the values that resonate strongly with the Christian community or the community that you want to serve. Like, for instance, faith, justice, compassion, forgiveness, etc. And then lastly, very important exercise when identifying, raising up, and serving a community is considering the specific needs that they have. Maybe they're looking for spiritual guidance or just guidance in general. Maybe they're looking to find encouragement. Maybe they want to deepen their relationship with God or understand complex theological concepts. When you understand your audience, you can tailor your storytelling approach to effectively engage and resonate with that audience. Craft narratives that align with the interests and passions of your Christian audience. For instance, create content that explores relevant teachings, share testimonies, etc. Infuse your narratives or your stories with the values that you want to bring across and you want to serve your community with. You can address specific needs. And through that, you can offer guidance, encouragement, practical advice, etc. And then lastly, utilize different storytelling techniques that resonate with people, like biblical references. Parables is very powerful. Reference to Christian traditions and symbols. So we're going to talk about the power of symbolism as subtext in the different ways of telling the stories. The better you understand your audience, the more effectively you can tailor your narratives to meet their interests, their values, and their spiritual needs. We can't deal with stories and storytelling by not addressing story arcs. Okay. So a faith-based story arc refers to the structure and progression of a narrative that revolves around themes of faith, spirituality, and Christian values. Now, if you're going to craft a story, it could be a series of stories or just one story. And I'll talk just now about the opportunities that you have to create stories in very simple ways, like just using your cell phone, for instance. But these themes are going to revolve around the needs of your community, faith, spirituality, Christian values. Or you can go and look at what does your community deal with, real life problems, and addressing those in a specific story. It will follow a trajectory. In other words, the story arc is going to bring everything together. Like, for instance, these classes that I'm doing addresses a specific need in the ministry community. And as you can see, I'm doing different focused subjects over time. And what happens is they are all connected because I can refer to previous classes or future classes and they all come together. And that's exactly how a story arc is going to work. All right, so first, the elements of a compelling faith narrative. The first one is testimony. Now, in one of my previous classes, I shared where a story about a friend of mine called Lyle Europa, where he's just been hijacked, and coming straight out of that, he's actually been shot in the chest. And what has happened is he survived that, and that's a miracle story by itself. But the video itself went through where he went live on Facebook and he was sharing with people what happened. It was very emotional, tears flowing. And he actually went over and he said, at the end of it, he said, listen, guys, if you're watching this, I forgive you. And that video was really, really, really powerful. Testimony is a very, very powerful element or method of bringing across a story, is testimony, because it's real. It shows how it's impacted your life. And that video got like 600,000 views and was shared like 20,000 times. And so that's a really powerful example that I can share with you. I did share it in one of the previous classes. The second one was transformation. The second element is transformation. A compelling faith narrative will have a journey that's been shared where individuals experience significant change or growth in their relationship with God. It highlights the process of spiritual growth, healing, and renewal. And then thirdly, stories of redemption. They are really, really powerful. If you watch some of the Christian TV channels, you'll see how people share stories of redemption, the why. It's usually brought across by talking about what their life was before and the transformation that happened, how that happened, and what was the process after that. It showcases how individuals find redemption and reconciliation, and it's a great story to tell. Okay, so when we craft our opening and close, when we craft these narratives, it's important to have a very, very powerful opening moment and a very powerful closing moment. And I'm going to share with you examples of that right now. So, opening moment is a captivating opening portion or scene that sets the tone for the rest of the story. It captures your audience's attention. It can begin with a thought-provoking question, a personal testimony, a biblical reference, a compelling image. I want to give you an example. A couple classes ago, I did what I call a clarion call. And in that clarion call, I started the class by showing you what is happening in the media, blatant Satanism that's happening in the media that everybody is exposed to. And I shared a couple of things. One was it's blatant, it's in the open, it's not hidden anymore. And two, the fact that this is happening while we have the opportunity to do something about it. I remember one of you shared with me in the comments that what hit really hard was the fact that this is happening on our watch. And in that specific class, I did a demo. I think I shared it in this class before, but I did the demo with the glass that's been tainted by coloring, and how I poured water in it and it filtered it out. In the same way, I was sharing that when I spoke about TikTok. In the same way with us creating content. So it's not just about content. It's not just about your scriptures you're posting up. What we need to do is tell the story, even if it's just in the text caption. Why am I sharing this specific scripture? Why is it personal to me? What have I seen happen by internalizing the spiritual truth, etc.? Okay. And then that class also, it's very important that you end with a clear closing moment. And there's a couple elements that you can use. It could be a powerful quote that inspires people, a call to action, a prayer, maybe a salvation prayer, etc. Okay. And I'm going to share with you quickly how to craft an engaging faith or story arc. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. I'd love to answer your questions as we go along. To craft an engaging faith story, you want to establish a clear narrative structure. All right. And these have elements like exposition, rising action, climax, could have a failed action, or even a resolution. I coached a client in the US. He's a professor that teaches preaching. And he says, he teaches that if you want to preach a really powerful and effective message, what you want to do is you want to focus on 4 specific areas. That is setting up the story with the situation, explaining the complication, giving a resolution for the complication, and then celebrating the transformation. So 4 elements: situation, complication, resolution, and celebration. All right. You want to use storytelling techniques such as vivid descriptions. So if you want people to really connect, you want to use some of the following techniques. Describe vividly what the problem is, what was the situation that people find them on, your characters. The more you describe it, the more people can emotionally connect to what you're doing. Have relatable characters. In your story, craft and set up characters that people can relate to. They can say, I can see myself in that person, or I understand that problem, or I also have the same issues. And then emotional storytelling that captivates and connects with the audience. Weave in Christian themes, Christian biblical principles, and spiritual insights throughout the story. To anchor the story, we need an anchor. It's something that keeps us connected to the context that we're trying to bring across. And then ensure coherence and consistency in the progression of the story. You want to maintain a clear focus on the central message that you want to bring across. Okay. Then biblical narratives can inspire you when you start doing the storytelling. Okay. You want to explore them and find their relevant storytelling. Biblical narratives are stories found in the Bible, but they convey spiritual, moral, and theological truths. They feature characters, events, and teaching that hold timeless significance. I remember at Rhema when I was at Bible college, one of our teachers wanted to bring across the truth of the woman in the well, and he adapted the story a little bit by talking about someone carrying a wheelbarrow with water bottles in it, etc., etc. And that made us connect to the story because he brought it into the now. You want to explore biblical narratives, but it involves studying and understanding their themes, symbolism, and cultural context. You want to incorporate biblical principles and teachings into your digital narratives, because digital narratives can draw inspiration from biblical principles and teachings to convey moral, spiritual, and ethical messages. Elements such as character development. In other words, someone isn't the same at the end than what they were at the beginning. You want to have that. You want to have plot structure. In other words, while we're going through this transformation and this conflict. And then conflict resolution connected to some spiritual wisdom. You want to incorporate biblical principles that can include emphasizing concepts like love, forgiveness, compassion, etc. It involves aligning the storyline, character arcs, and thematic elements with the teachings and values found in the Bible. I want to give you some examples real quick of successful faith-based narratives in digital media. Examples, for instance, are web series or short forms that portray modern day parables. They draw similarities between contemporary situations and biblical stories. A great example of this is, for instance, I did an interview with someone, I shared it in the group earlier in the week, a story called The Small Groups Movie. And they brought the awkwardness of, for instance, the host at church and people building relationships in a small group, and there's always an awkward one, etc. It was a fun way of just bringing across the construct of the small groups within the church. And it was a full form. It was a form. And in that interview, I actually asked all the elements of bringing it from conceptualization to actual distribution and people going to watch it. It's a really great interview, and I encourage you to watch that. Short forms, great way to do that. I want to encourage you to ask God to inspire you, give you a story. And then if you don't have the production equipment, film it with your phone. You could literally write a script that is a 1 minute form, a 1 minute short form or 3 minute short form. There are very, very popular and effective ones that you can see on YouTube as well. All right, the next one is inspirational social media campaigns. These are, again, short videos or testimonies that highlight the transformation. Podcasts are exceptional mediums to get people to hear biblical teachings, offering practical applications for daily life and addressing relevant spiritual topics. Podcast is a very powerful, underutilized medium to use in your ministry. Like, for instance, if you have a ministry, I would have podcasts. I would interview my staff or my volunteers. I would interview people that have transformation stories. I would use it as a portion to bring biblical teachings, etc. And then there's other digital mediums like interactive websites or apps and so on. Let's talk about visuals in storytelling. Talk about visuals in storytelling. And if you're enjoying the class, here is a takeaway. Hendrik says, I've learned that I can be more emotionally engaging, not just bringing knowledge across. Absolutely. And that's very, very powerful as well at the end of the day. Visual storytelling plays a vital role in conveying spiritual messages within ministry. It uses the power of imagery to complement and enhance the narrative, creating a more impactful, engaging experience. Visuals have the ability to transcend language barriers. They evoke emotions, ignite the imagination, and deepens the audience's connection. What you want to do is you want to understand the role of visuals in conveying spiritual messages. Visuals serve as a powerful medium to portray abstract concepts that depict symbols, metaphors, and representations of spiritual ideas. Images, graphics, and visual elements can evoke a sense of awe, wonder, and reverence. Visual storytelling allows for the multisensory experience, engaging both visual and emotional faculties of the audience. Here's an idea. Instead of posting sermons on your social media and your video streaming platforms, how about doing some post-production? You can use a free tool like DaVinci Resolve and go and get free video clips. Okay, just search for free video clips on a specific topic and go and download them and use them as B-roll when you're actually doing your sermons or your messages. So while you're doing your messages, play visuals in the background while you're teaching. And it could be really powerful to get people connected and have that multi-sensory experience. Visuals can enhance audience connection and comprehension of faith in the stories that you share. They help you capture the attention and draw viewers into the narrative. Visuals can simplify complex ideas and concepts, making them more accessible and relatable. Visual storytelling has the power and potential to evoke emotional responses. When visuals align with the narrative, They strengthen the impact and memorability of the faith story. Types of ministry storytelling, you can use symbolic imagery and metaphors. Symbolic imagery involves using visual elements that carry a deeper meaning. Now, the world does this. So let me give you an example. For instance, in the story, in the movie Fireproof, right? We can see on the screen the transformation happening with the main character. And subtly in the background, they were on a campground, and in the background was a cross, right? And so that was a great way to actually bring across what is happening and what the core message is. Symbols can include objects, colors, gestures that hold symbolic significance with the truth that you want to bring across. Metaphors is obviously figures of speech that make a comparison between two things, and those are also a great way. A movie or a short film that is a metaphor for something else is a very powerful way of bringing your point across. Pastor John says, we're excited to hear the powerful elements. Thank you so much. Amoret says, enjoying it. Thank you. If you have any questions, please post them. I will attend to them, and we'll make everything available for you. Powerful medium is also something I like. I did this, if you go to my second class that I did called Content Inspiration, the Content Inspiration Toolkit, I talk about graphics like cards, either quote cards or scripture cards. Now, scripture cards or scripture graphics incorporate textual elements. So what you'll do is the text will have a theme. In the background, you then put in a picture, an image that you can then put in the background to bring the spiritual truth of the scripture across. Okay. And so this is visually appealing designs. A great tool to use for this is Canva. Just go and sign up for a free account, and then you can put your scriptures. Go and look for what I do is I use the thumbnail construct, the thumbnail what I call it, templates. Then they actually have images that you can search for and you can put them in that you can get for free. And that's a really powerful tool to use. Scripture verses displayed visually provide a direct connection to the text, allowing individuals to engage with the written word in a visually compelling manner. Then you can look at visual representations of Christian values and virtues. Visuals can be created to visually represent Christian values and virtues, such as love, compassion, faith, humility, and justice. So, for instance, if you have visuals that bring across love, having an overarching red color palette is really, really powerful. Faith, you might have blue or green in the color palette. Remember, everything that you're doing with the storytelling needs to be intentional. We're going to talk about certain things that you can do. I've just shared with you using specific color palettes to bring across a theme or a message. And later on, I'm going to talk about sound design you can use as well. You want to use the right visuals for spiritual storytelling. You want to align your visuals with the underlying spiritual message. Okay, so when you select the visuals, it's crucial to assure that they align with and reinforce the context, the spiritual message. The visuals should complement and enhance the narrative. Don't just, everything must be intentional. Visuals, your video, your shooting, remember it all connects to your ministry brand as well. Consider the emotions, themes, and symbolism associated with the message that you want to bring across. Then ensure that there's coherence with your visual identity and your branding. I've just shared a little bit of that. But your colors, your topography, and your design elements has to connect with existing branding elements like your logo, website, printed materials, etc. Consider the tone and atmosphere associated with your ministry brand, and that will pull through to your storytelling as well. Let's go to the next one, storytelling on social media. And we want to focus quickly on leveraging social media platforms for your ministry. They offer a valuable opportunity for ministry outreach, enabling your organization to reach and engage a wider audience. Leveraging social media platforms is strategic and helps you be more effective. You want to identify the social media platforms that are popular among your target audience. Now, if you currently have an audience, right, something that you could do is actually send out a survey and ask them, which social media platforms do you use the most? Okay. Is there anything that you've just come across that you like working with, etc.? What is your best medium? Do you like videos? Do you like photos, etc., etc.? And by surveying your current audience, you'll know where to focus your efforts and put more time in. All right. We know Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but did you know there are also Christian-focused platforms, like, for instance, Faith Social and Crossroads 360? You can go research those, sign up for the platforms, and go play around with them and see what happens when you start ministering on those platforms. You want to establish a strong and consistent presence on the platforms that you choose. I encourage you to use maximum 3, especially if you're starting out. You're going to do a lot of work. If you go to the Content Inspiration Toolkit, that class, I shared with you how you can just do video and how you can take video and post-produce and, let's say, repurpose it into different formats, like text, like images, like shorter videos, like books, all those kind of things. There's a class on that will help you with that. And you want to go and focus on 3 platforms that's going to give you the most return on your efforts that you do. We go quickly check in the comments. Hendrik asks, what is a good balance for storytelling, audio versus visuals? How much should you use visuals and pictures? Hendrik, there is, I believe that people consume content and stories in different ways. There is a audience element that listens just to podcasts and audios. And then there are people that watch just videos. So I would find the one that takes me the least amount of effort at first and use that. And I'm going to teach just now on specifically podcasts and audio design, which is very, very important to really be effective. So for me, the easiest is audio. Audio is quick. I started my podcast probably about 5-8 years ago, say 5-6 years ago, and it was easy for me to just take my phone and record an audio snippet and post it. And I made sure that it was valuable, and some of those did really well. Then as you get to doing that, I think focus on one thing, master it, and work on automating as much as you can of that. And then go to the next one. Maybe you're going to do a podcast, a storytelling podcast or audio format once a week, and do a visual one once a month. And when you got your systems in place to effectively, and your audio audience is growing, then do maybe 2 videos a month. And later on do 4, one per month, 1 per week. Suki says, how do you determine your audience? Mine can be too wide. Parents, children, pastors, child ministers, 2 different stories. Suki, yes. I think you'll have different audiences, right? Because you might have different aspects. And we'll delve deeper into your ministry when we're doing your review. We're going to do it soon. You need to identify. I don't know if you got the audience identification portion of this class, but when I make the guide available for you, then you can go through that a little bit more. There is one of the previous classes where I also did a little bit of that, but We could maybe do like an extra lesson for that. But you'll have different audiences, and you'll obviously have different stories. Like a story for you would be, you could tell a story that is targeted at parents about transformation that happens with a child that engages with your content. So it's going to inspire them to engage with your ministry and obviously get some resources, etc. And then you also want to connect with the kids, and you want to do something story-wise that's going to connect with kids and something that they're going to find valuable. Pastor Jonathan says, today's seems like it's going to be a long class. Are you saying it's good when preaching on radio and playing soft music? Absolutely. It helps with the emotive part of the ministry. And we have, our church has a prayer meeting every morning going live on Facebook, and they play music in the background. So that's very, very powerful. And then Hendrik says, visuals just makes it better than only audio. Absolutely. An image, a story really can help connect with the story. Absolutely. Let's get back to the class. Best practice for storytelling. Craft compelling and concise stories that align with the values and teachings that your ministry gives. Emphasize the different themes that you pull right through as a thread. Utilize a mix of content formats. So you want to use different things like text, images, videos, live streaming, etc. Engage with your audience, like I'm doing in this class. I'm acknowledging your engagement with me. I'm even putting it on the screen, and I'm giving you answers live. That's a great way to get your community connected and engaged and bought into what you're doing. When people leave a comment, give them replies or reply to their messages, actively respond to questions, provide support, etc. And then lastly, a powerful thing is using hashtags and keywords in everything that you're doing. So there's a text element that you have to use when promoting your material. I use a tool called ChatGPT. You can go to chat.openai.com and you can go and look at the tool there. I use it to do all my descriptions of my classes, some of my class material, hashtags, crafting, all of that. So it's a really powerful tool for you to use. You want to tailor stories to fit the values and needs of the Christian, of your target audience. You need to understand, this is very, very important, guys, is you need to understand the values, interests, and needs of your community. As you start posting out content on your platforms, you'll see a community start developing around it. Your community is going to be it's going to be very important that you get to know the community that goes around you. And you need to know their values, interests, their needs, and serve them in that. Then craft stories that address their unique challenges, spiritual growth, everyday experiences, whatever they are. Personalize the content to resonate with them. For my ministry, for Ministry Media Mastery, I've crafted almost 25 different audience characteristics. And what that does, and if you do that for yourself as well, you'll have different people and different kinds of people that you serve in your community. And what you can do is you can do a story or a ministry piece specifically for every one of those people. Okay. Sharing stories, testimonies, inspirational quotes, devotional content, those are powerful. You highlight examples of faith in action or impactful ministries to inspire your followers. And then lastly, maintain authenticity and transparency in your storytelling. You want to share both successes and struggles. And it's very difficult to do that when you actually share your struggle. Right? But especially if there's a story arc of the struggling and you're overcoming weekly and people can see that is a great inspirational story. Let's talk about creating shareable faith content. Okay. It's essential for effectively reaching and engaging your audience. It involves employing specific techniques to craft your content that will resonate with people's beliefs, values, and experiences. So here's some techniques for creating content that resonates with your audience. Number one, understand the core teachings and doctrines that is going to align with the people that you serve and have obviously foundational principles. You want to incorporate scripture verses, biblical references, and stories of how people made that applicable or applied that. That will provide a strong foundation for your audience to connect to. Address common challenges and struggles faced by people. Offer insight, encouragement, and practical guidance. If you want to bring a truth across or a principle across, making it personal and telling a story around that is a great way to minister. Share personal testimonies and stories of transformation that exemplify the power of faith, and then utilize relatable language and storytelling techniques that evoke emotion, empathy, and a sense of shared experience. Let's talk about encouraging engagement with your stories. You need to cultivate a sense of community. So if I do something that is targeted at a specific geographical area, for instance, I want to use words that they understand, relate stories that they can connect to, and I want to specifically address them. I want to use words like the geographical area, or maybe, what do they call it? Landmarks for people to connect to and say, I understand what you're talking about. I've been there before. And you want to cultivate that community. And another way to cultivate community is creating spaces for dialogue, discussion, and interaction. It's like here, I've got a comment section everywhere so people can actually go and share what they're experiencing, their thoughts, comments, asking questions, etc. What you want to do for your community is you want to pose questions to them, prompt them or challenge them, and encourage them to participate and reflect, foster engagement and active involvement. Another powerful thing is incorporate elements of user-generated content. They call it UGC. Invite your community to share their stories via video. And post it on your platforms, their testimonies, their experiences. The more you get your community involved, the better your platform is going to perform. Implement social sharing features. So what I do often is I say, why don't you share this with someone that might find this valuable? Tag them in the comments below if you know someone that could find value here. And lastly, utilize call to action that inspire your audience to consume the content, but also take tangible steps in their lives. Let's talk about storytelling on podcasts. It's a very, very powerful tool for you to use. And let me quickly look at the... Yes, Suki, thank you so much. Suki says we love the children's voices. Like I said, it's holiday, and that is just the environment. Pastor Jonathan says, we'd love to enjoy prayer times, get to know how you play the music. Pastor Jonathan, I will share with you a link. And then lastly, Hendrik, storytelling that is connected to my branding theme makes me more recognized to my specific audience. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Hendrik says, characteristics for audiences. Wow, I never even thought about that. Yes. All right. So let's go to speaking about podcasts as a medium of storytelling and what you can do with that. Okay. If you want to craft engaging audio stories of faith, you want to utilize the following elements: sound effects, music, and voice narration to enhance the story. Sound effects, you want to carefully choose sound effects to create ambience, evoke emotion, and enhance the storytelling experience. I will give you some examples. Some of you said in the comments, do I play when I'm doing teaching or when I'm doing prayer? Do I play music in the background? Absolutely. It's a great way to bring the emotion across. It's a very powerful tool. I'll share with you another example. When I started my ministry, we did what we call comps. And so you'll take the height on and the most powerful part of your message, and you would put music together with that. And if you want some examples, let me know. I'll share some with you. That really brings the emotion across of that specific story. Music, obviously, you want to select appropriate music tracks that complement the theme, tone, and emotional arc of the story. Instrumental music, worship songs, and spiritual hymns in the background is a great way for also have powerful ministry. And then voice narration. When you have B-roll images playing in your video, obviously your voice carries on. That's very powerful. But segueing in a podcast to a story and you have a different tone or a different voice that you use, that's an artistic way to bring it across. You want to pay attention to pacing, intonation, and emphasis to maintain the listener's attention. Now, not just in podcasts, but you want to also use this in your videos. When you are doing a video on, for instance, with a story that's bringing a truth across, you're shooting it with your camera, for instance, your phone camera. You want to bring in sound that enhances the different elements of recognition and for people to connect with the story. You want to bring those sounds, etc., into it as well. When you're doing a podcast or doing narratives, one of the things that you can do is you can utilize sound effects, music, and voice narration to enhance spiritual storytelling. Podcast and voice emphasis. Great. Okay. So you want to craft engaging audiences through sound effects, music, voice narration. Okay. I'm going to go back to that and just repeat that. So when you're doing anything audio stories, etc., what you want to do is you want to incorporate carefully chosen sound effects that create ambience, evoke emotion, and enhance the storytelling experience. For instance, if you're telling a story about being at the beach, and it has relevance to the story, why don't you play a track of waves crashing in the background? Maybe you're telling a story of someone going to a show, and then you have music playing in the background, or someone that attended church, right? And as you tell the story, you hear the preaching or the worship music in the background. Those are great ways for people to connect, especially evoke emotion, and it enhances your storytelling experience. Okay. Other things are nature sound, ambient noises, specific sound cues. This is called audio. This is called audio or sound design. All right. And so if you tell a story and you say someone is walking across a desert or walking on gravel, you want to play music of the gravel in the background. I want to share something else that we did when I started my media ministry about 12, 15 years ago. What we did is we took preaching messages that people preached, and we would take the height or the best part of that message, for instance, and we'll play worship music or a thematic song in the background that enhances that whole story. And we use that as a ministry tool. It's very powerful, especially with teenagers. We put those comps with other messages on devices that look like those pods that you listen to. We did that, and it was a very powerful ministry tool for us to use. Music. Select appropriate music tracks that complements the theme, the tone, and the emotional arc of the story. Instrumental music, worship songs, spiritual hymns can create a powerful backdrop for your narration, the story that you're telling, and evoke a deeper connection with the message. And then voice narration. All right. if you're telling a story, why don't you segue a story? And let's say you refer a specific conversation. Why don't you bring in a specific conversation where the people are actually talking to it, and it will really help. You want to use a voice that reflects the tone, warm, compassionate, authoritative, or relatable. Then you want to pay attention in your storytelling or your voice narration. Pay attention to pacing, faster with things that are urgent, speaking slower when you want to bring something really important across, intonation, like accentuating certain words, etc. Those are really powerful. So let's go to script writing. All right, when you're doing podcasts, all right, it will help you if you want to bring a story across. Even if you're doing shooting from the hip, I do a lot of my teachings. I do from the hip and the stories that I tell, but it helps to at least have an outline. Okay, so I do have an outline most of the times of the things that I'm doing. All right, and so you want to define the purpose and the message of your podcast episode. You want to start with a clear objective. What do you want the listeners to take away? Craft your script with this objective in mind to maintain the focus and ensure a cohesive narrative. Outline the arc of the story. Okay, structure your script with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Introduce the theme or the conflict. Why is the story being told? Set it up in the beginning. Explain the problem. Build tension or intrigue and provide resolution and takeaway lessons. And that happens at the end. And it's very powerful if you incorporate personal testimonies or real life experiences, like the video that Lyle did. You share relatable and authentic stories of faith to connect with your audience on a personal level. Then, obviously, you want to bring in things that's going to bring the point across and that keeps the message grounded, like scripture references. You want to bring those verses in, provide biblical context, and support the key points that you share. This can help reinforce the foundation of the narrative. And then make it conversational and engaging. Write in a conversational tone as if you were speaking directly to your listeners. Incorporate theoretical questions, pauses for reflections. These are all speaking tips that I'm giving you. It's important that you understand your podcast audience and niche. Okay. Podcast audience, let's talk about that. You want to gain a deeper understanding of your audience within that community by researching and analyzing existing podcasts. So you want to go and look at, for instance, those 3 platforms that I shared with you, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And you want to go and research podcasts in your specific area, your demographics, niche, and preferences. Find out what they're doing and go and use that as a frame of reference and use it for inspiration. You want to identify your niche. A unique niche within your community is important to align your ministry's focus values with your audience. Consider specializing in a specific topic. All right. So mine is specific, but also can be broad. Research and listen to other podcasts to gain insights into their content, the format, how they're using it, their storytelling techniques, etc. Then when you're promoting and distributing your podcast or any audio production, and what I'm going to share with you now, you can actually use for visual as well. You want to have high quality production. Make sure that your audio is excellent, right? I often share this. Here I have it's a Boya mic. Let me just get everything. And it's literally a mic like this, and this I can put in when I do classes. I can do it. I can use it when I'm doing video on my phone. But in the research that I've done and the things that we teach, we say your visuals can still be scrappy, but your audio needs to be excellent. All right. So ensure that you have excellent audio when you do anything. Optimize your podcast metadata. These are good titles, engaging, evocative, interesting titles to use when you want people to actually listen to it. Describe it properly. Have titles and keywords that's pulled right through the title, the description, etc. And then obviously using hashtags as well. Cross promotion. I'm big on collaboration. You know that. And what you want to do is collaborate with other Christian creators or ministries and do guest appearances, cross promotions, joint projects that helps you build your audience as well. Obviously, you utilize social media for distribution. You're going to break down your content, and you're going to make it shorter just to tease and get people. Take screenshots, make GIFs from your videos, and share that. It will really help build the whole platform. Engage with the community. It's very important that you respond to questions, feedback, and comments like I'm doing in this class. Encourage the listeners to leave reviews or ratings, and then integrate all of that into your website as well. We have a couple more points to go through. Let's talk about faith-centered videos. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments, or even if you agree with something, if you disagree with something, I'd love to hear that as well. Storytelling with faith-centered videos provides a powerful medium to convey Christian messages and evoke spiritual connection with the audience. All right, we spoke about script for audio. Let's talk about script writing for videos quickly. Again, you want to define the purpose. Clearly articulate the reason why you're doing this video. Do you want to inspire? Do you want to educate? Do you want to motivate or convey a specific message? Structure the story. Develop a compelling narrative structure that captures the audience's attention and keeps them engaged. All right. And so here elements are attention-grabbing openings, a clear story arc with rising tension, and a satisfying resolution. It's always important to just bookend your story very well, that there's a conclusion and there's perhaps something that you can take away. Use visual language. Utilize descriptive language to paint vivid imagery. We spoke earlier about describing vivid descriptions in your storytelling. Describe scenes, characters, and emotions, especially if you're doing narration. And explain the emotions that people are going through. Then highlight the key Christian themes. And this is part of the script writing, right? You want to craft dialogue, situation, and character arcs that reflects these themes. Consider different storytelling techniques. You could use metaphors, symbolism, allegory. There's lots of different tools that you can use. This helps the viewers connect with the message on a deeper level. Let's talk about incorporating visual and audio elements that evoke spiritual connection. Visual elements enhances the storytelling to invoke that connection. It can include imagery of nature, religious symbols. I've already explained that, especially in the subtext or the subconscious imagery that you use in the different things. Lighting and color, we did explain that. Music and sound design, I explained that as well. And voice and narration. Let's talk about video storytelling techniques. Okay, using storytelling in your videos. You can craft your sermons using storytelling because it helps connect people on an emotional, relatable level. You want to incorporate personal anecdotes, narratives, and real-life examples. Testimonies, we shared already, is a really powerful way and tool. It highlights personal experiences of faith, transformation, and encounters with God himself. And then inspirational messages, something simple like, hey, I know that it's cold right now, or I know that the interest rate is really high, but this is something, hope, giving finances, etc. Just encouraging people, practical things that you can actually teach them. Inspiring faith-based action and transformation. So using visual metaphors, resonate with people emotionally, progression and transformation. So progression is building one up of the other is important, and then having the process showing the transformation and symbolism and imagery. Right. Let's talk about getting action on your faith. Okay, call to action strategies for your ministry and your storytelling. It's very important that you have that. I think this is the reason why we are in ministry, and why we do what we do is we want the actual transformation and impact to happen. Suki says a useful tool is a free teleprompter download on your iPad. If you read the script, tempo can be adjusted. Absolutely. So some CTA or call to action strategies. Define your ministry goals. If you clearly define your ministry goals, whether they involve fostering spiritual growth, promoting social justice, encouraging acts of service, etc., it's important that you communicate these things. Align your call to action in your story with your ministry goals. So whatever your story needs to achieve, it's important to bring a call to action at the end, and that is how you're going to measure the impact and the results, or the effectiveness of your ministry and your media. Okay. Provide guidance. Offer clear instruction or suggestions on how individuals can translate the message of the story into practical action. This can include volunteering, ministry programs, joining small groups, etc. Now, how can I measure the impact and success of my storytelling efforts? We did speak about this before. You want to define key metrics. These can include audience engagement. Like, for instance, these classes that I do, I look at the engagement during the class, the comments. I'm looking at, obviously, the amount of views, and also the actual subscribers. Speaking about subscribers, I want you to join me, connect to my channel. Just click the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. We don't just do this class, there's other stuff that we also do, and I'd really appreciate it. One of our milestones is 500 subscribers, which will allow us to grow the ministry to the next level. Thank you so much if you did that. Right, utilize analytic tools. Okay. So you wanna go into, for instance, if you use YouTube, YouTube has great analytics. It can tell you where people are watching from. It can show you how much of what you have created have people watched. They show you view time. They show you how many conversions and actions have been taken, etc., etc. You can use surveys and feedback, conduct surveys to collect feedback from your audience, and it will give you insights into what they're going through, what is happening. Testimonials and success stories, collect and share testimonials and success stories from individuals who have responded. So that's why, for instance, if you live stream, some of the churches say, if you have responded to this message and you've done the salvation prayer, text this to this number, something like that. But it's important that you also just constantly look at the impact and the growth of the things that you're doing. So let me quickly go through what have we spoken of today. We have looked at, we're just doing a wrap up real quick, and we spoke about the definition and significance of digital storytelling and how that affects and impacts your ministry. We looked at elements of compelling faith narratives. Excuse me. We looked at incorporating visuals into your storytelling for impact. We have looked at storytelling on social media and gave you a lot of tips in there. And we've looked at storytelling through podcasts. We've spoken about imagery, faith videos, and That was, and then we've spoken about calls to actions as well today. I hope you enjoyed the class. And I want to encourage you to go and apply what you've learned today. This was a longer class than we usually had, but I am appreciative of your time and you being here. Finally, let's quickly get everybody on the call and also the people that are watching this afterwards. I want to know, what is your one takeaway from the class today? What is the one takeaway from your class today? What have you learned today? What is something that you're going to be able to go and apply right away? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. And as we wrap up, just want to remind you, if you're not part of the Telegram channel community, there should be a link below this video for you that you can just click and go and join. Also, remember our drive for our subscribers. We want to grow this channel, our YouTube channel, to 500 subscribers. That's the new milestone. It will allow us to do more. Suki says, well done, Ivan. Can't wait to incorporate these new strategies and knowledge. Thank you so much, Suki. Again, just quickly share with us your takeaway from the class today. I'd really appreciate that. And also, very soon, we're going to launch a challenge. It's going to be a paid challenge, but it's going to be a 12-week program. And we're going to take you through a 12-week process of going from scratch, defining your message, defining the value that you get, building your team, what equipment to use, how can I do that on a budget, with a budget, etc. Planning my production, how can I get the most out of my ministry time that I spend on creation. We're going to maybe look about through artificial intelligence tools, and we're going to do that in our challenge that's coming up probably at the end of the month, that you can sign up for that. That is our big effort and call to action. Amaret says, putting your personal experiences into your story and using media to enhance is next. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hendricks says, I've learned that I can be more emotionally engaging, not only bringing knowledge across. Really learned many practical things today. Thank you so much, Hendrik. Anybody else that wants to share? Thank you so much. Remember, our classes happen on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. in the afternoon, and that we're getting a good uptake on that. We're launching our challenge at the end of the month, so watch out for notifications on that. And if you're not part of the Telegram group, join it so you can also get the free resources that's being shared every week. Thank you for the audience and the people that's been watching live with me today. I really appreciate that. If you want to help me, a couple of things that you can do. One is share with people the Telegram link so they can join the community. They will also get the value. Otherwise, just going to subscribe to our channel is very valuable. Thank you for that. And then I will make sure that you guys get the resources. The download that I want to share with you is like, I think it's a 20-page document with everything that I shared today and more. That's going to be in that. But thank you so much for everybody that's with me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. If you have my number, please share, just share with us some encouragement or some thoughts that you have, and send us a text. I really appreciate that. We are human like everybody else and thrive on encouragement, edification, and hearing your stories and the things that's happening. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you on this beautiful Wednesday. It's cold Wednesday in most of our country, and we're looking forward to engaging you with you again next week, same time. Thank you and goodbye.